Are you trying to build a competitive team but you're not quite sure where to start? Well, allow me to lend you a helping hand. Hey guys, so today what we're going to do is we're going to go over a few resources that can actually help you build a team. I know information like this can be pretty daunting and overwhelming, so I'm going to go through these resources with you and I'm going to show you how to use them. I will also have all of the links to these resources down in the description so you can go through them with me while you watch this video or check them out afterwards. Now before I dive into it, I just want to quickly mention that over 55% of people that watch my videos still aren't subscribed. So please hit that subscribe button, it helps me so much more than you know, and I'll be forever grateful to you. I'm trying to hit 10k by the end of the year. Now that may be a little bit too ambitious, but hey, I'd rather reach for the stars and land on the clouds. I'm a chase your dreams kind of guy. Now the first resource I want to go over is VGC Poker Pace. Now this is a Twitter page that is really useful. They even have a Discord. Go check it out. It's really helpful. If you come here, you can actually see what people have been running in tournaments and tours. We can see this team here, it won a tour. It's a tour champion team, meaning it has to be at least decent. So we see Chen Pao, Dragonite, Gyarados, Amoonguss, Chi-Yu, and Fluttermane. We can also see the moves they were running and the items. Now we don't see the EV spreads because of course competitive players want to keep those hidden for the big tournaments coming up. Though if we're to mess around with the teams, we can probably figure out what kind of things they're running. If we continue on, we go down, we'll see more and more teams. These are the teams that place top 8. Now, these are a lot more teams. We don't see the moves here, but we see the team compositions. And from this, we can get a good idea of usage. We can even continue to scroll down and we'll see more and more teams. Now, some of these people just post, but this one here, it says it's a runner-up team. Now, that means that it's a team that performed well at a high level of play. And we can see why. It has Grimmsnarl support. It has a Choice Specs Rotom for some damage. It has the Earthquake Garchomp that can sit next to that while it discharges. This is a really good combination. We've also got a Terra Water King Gambit, and I love to see it. I'm a big fan of King Gambit. We've got the Amoonguss because this Pokemon is running amok right now. We've got the Gyarados. There's actually no Fluttermane here, which is really interesting because we see Fluttermane a lot. Now, of course, there's more and more teams here, but what I want to do now is dive into the next resource, and that is Pikalytics. So Pikalytics is a website that shows us the usage of Pokemon individually. So the beauty of it is it also shows their common teammates. Now Fluttermane is the most used Pokemon in the format and Amoonguss is the close second. And we could have already seen that from looking at PokePace. We could see that Amoonguss is on a lot of teams. Now the beauty of Pikalytics is we can actually see EV spreads on here. Now we can't at the moment, it's still early in the metagame. So as time goes on, you'll start to see EV spreads posted here, which really help you get an idea of what to be running on the Pokemon and how they really work. Now we can see their most used moves, which is really helpful, so we can know what they're going to be running ourselves, and we can see the partners they're mostly running with. If we wanted to build a team with this information, we would just look at the top used Pokemon and we would say, how can we deal with those? Or hey, we can run them ourselves because obviously they're working for other people. Now I do think counter building is a really important thing, but for the sake of this video not being too long and for it to stay introductory, I want to go over the Pokemon people are using and let's try to see how we can make a team using just those. So to do this, we're going to use another tool, and that is Pokemon Showdown. Now Pokemon Showdown is an amazing website. It's a battle simulator that lets you build the Pokemon here and battle with them and test them out without having to go through all the effort in game of breeding, EV training, bottle capping, and finding the right TMs. You can do it all here for testing purposes before you make it. There's nothing more frustrating than building an entire team in game only to realize your idea didn't work. So coming here to test it out is definitely a good idea and something really helpful. Now using the knowledge we've gotten from the resources we just looked at, we can make a team here and test it out. So looking back at Pikalytics, we can see that Fluttermane is the most used Pokemon, so let's throw on Fluttermane. Now looking at Fluttermane's stats, we can see that it has a really high speed and a really high special attack. Now it also has really high special defense, but if you look at its HP, that is quite low, so you're definitely not going to want to build this into bulk, especially since it will fall to any physical hit with that 55 defense stat. So what we're going to do is we're going to max out its speed and its special attack, because this is going to be running an offensive sweeper type of build for us. Now, how do we figure out the nature we want to run? Well, we know that it's the most used Pokemon, so we're going to see it a lot more, meaning that we don't want to be slower than opposing ones. So we're going to run a Timid nature. Now Timid will give us more speed and lower attack, which is completely fine because we're not going to be using that attack stat anyway. Speaking of, let's just make the IR in that as low as we can. If you can avoid taking more damage from things like Foul Play and Confusion, then you go for it. Now Timid giving us plus speed means that we are going to be as fast as opposing Fluttermane. Now we look at the ability. The ability is Photosynthesis. If we're in the sun or have a booster energy active, we get even more speed, 1.5 times to be exact. Now we can't risk being slower than other Fluttermanes, Moons. So for this set, we're going to run the Booster Energy. This is going to make sure that we're at least as fast as all the other Flutter Mains in the metagame. Now we could also offer something like a Focus Sash if we wanted to just survive their hits and hit back, but we want to play it a little safe at first, and we want to just make sure we're running the same speed. If we feel like it's not going too well, then we can look at revisiting it later. We're just going to try this out. As I said, this takes no in-game investments, so there's no harm in just trying out what seems pretty safe and straightforward at first. Pikalytics also shows us the moves that are being run most commonly on this Pokemon. Now we can offer some speed control here with Icy Wind, but we're going to make this our offensive sweeper, and we don't want to use it for that right now. So we're going to run the top 4 moves that we can see right here. Now picking the Terra type can be a little bit tricky. Of course it shows it here as well, but this is something that's pretty diverse. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at something that threatens us, and we can see that Chien-Pao here, a dark type with access to Sucker Punch, is quite prominent, as is something like Chi-Yu, again a dark type with a Dark Pulse. There's also Grimmsnarl, who also has access to Sucker Punch. It looks like dark moves are pretty prominent, and as a Ghost Fairy, those hit us neutrally, but we have a really small defense stat. This is where we use another tool. This is what helps you figure out your EVs most of the time if you're not a straightforward attacking mon, and this will help us figure out what we want to use as our Terra type, and that is the Damage Calculator. This is another tool here on Pokemon Showdown and something really helpful to use. We can see here that if Chien-Pao was to use Sucker Punch and we were to Terra Ghost, we would get one-shot by it. We don't want that. We don't want a priority move just taking us out. So we're actually going to go Terra Fairy, which makes us resist all of these dark moves going around. Now it's a 3-hit KO, which is a whole different story to a 1-hit KO. It gives us so much more potential. Now, of course, there are many types we can try, but we're going to try just safe in the beginning here. We'll switch our type here to Fairy. Now, if we look at Flutter Main's most used teammates, we can see Amoonguss, Chi-Yu, Torkoal, Arcanine, Roaring Moon. And we're going to probably make a team just out of these, and we're going to run the sets that they show here. Now, as I said, EVs aren't shown on this website yet, but they'll be shown later on as the metagame develops. So I'm going to use the calculator to figure out the EVs I want to run on these Pokemon, and I'm going to talk you through that just very quickly. But I don't want this video to take too long, so I'm going to help you guys get to more of a finalized team here that we can kind of try out, and we can just see if it works. So we look at something like Amoonguss, which is a more defensive mon. We can see that we want to be able to live things from certain threats, and one of them is probably Arcanine. Arcanine is really prominent in this metagame, and we saw that looking at Pikalytics. Don't forget to set all your Pokemon to 50 because the damage calcs are very different. Most Arcanines are going to be running a fairly bulky set. It won't be this heavily invested, just 252 spread. It won't be like that, but this is something we can go off as a base. So we can look at the damage of Flare Blitz, and we can see that it KOs us most of the time. At 62% is a pretty high chance. So let's see how much HP investment we need to survive. Now, max HP is probably just what we want to go on Amoonguss anyway. This is really helpful for us. It gives us a lot of bulk around the board. Now, we survive this for sure, but let's see how much investment Arcanine would need to KO us. We can see that if an Arcanine has just 80 investment, it becomes a chance. It's a small chance, but it's a chance. So what we'll probably do is we'll go to a nice even number like 100 here, and we'll try to invest enough points to make it so that we don't get one-hit KO'd by the Pokemon. And we see that by investing just 44 EVs into defense, that we survive Arcanine with even 100 investment. Now we can survive that really big hit, and we can spore the opposing Pokemon. We can actually get value out of our Amoonguss here. So if we go back over here and we throw in the Amoonguss onto the team, we can now know the EVs we want to run. We want 44 in the defense, the rest into HP, and the rest into special defense. We're also going to run a relaxed nature because we did have a plus defense nature, and having a negative speed on Amoonguss is really good because it makes the opponent not really want to go for Trick Room. Amoonguss will be likely the fastest thing on the field, and it'll be really hard for them to deal with. It gives us a counter to slow modes since our main Pokemon is so fast. I hope that helped in understanding EVs a little bit. That was by no means optimal, but it was how you can look at them and how you kind of figure them out for yourself. So I'm going to skip forward in the video here to when I have a team made, and we're going to try out a battle and see how the team works. So we're going to try out a battle with this team and see how it goes. We're going to be facing a really interesting team here. They've got Prankster on the Murkrow. They've got probably Icy Wind on Iron Bundle. They can actually deal with our Flutter Mane pretty well here. So maybe we won't bring it, and it feels like they think we might. So I may bring my own Roaring Moon here and lead out with Chi-Yu, have Chien-Pao in the back, and then bring my Amoonguss for support. Now this is really risky to run, but I really want to try this out. So let's see how it goes. Are they going to lead their Arcanine into my team? No, they've led their own Roaring Moon, and they're likely going to look to either Rage Powder or Spore into my Roaring Moon. So what I actually want to do is U-turn into the Amoonguss. Ooh, I actually want to U-turn into the Roaring Moon, and what I want to do is I want to Terrasilize so I don't take the extra damage. This is our carry right now anyway, so I'm going to Terrasilize into their Roaring Moon, so that if they're to U-turn into me or to Dragon Attack, I can take it pretty well, and I'm going to actually... I really want to overheat the Amoonguss, but I'm just going to Heat Wave. I'm going to play the safe play. I'm going to Terrasilize. They're going to do it as well. I'm going to Heat Wave, doing big damage to both of them. Roaring Moon barely lives. I get the burn. That was an interesting play from them. So if I choose to Terra the Chi-Yu, I pretty much win the game right there, which is really interesting. But as we can see, these Pokemon are really relevant for a reason. They're really, really strong. The burn didn't seem to matter. U-turn picked up the KO anyway, and we're going to be able to switch in to our own Amoonguss here. This directs away from our Chi-Yu, and it takes the Spore that they were wanting to put into our Roaring Moon, and that's why we made that play. We thought ahead like that, so that's really cool. Now we're going to see what they're going to do next. They're going to Iron Bundle, and this is a little tough for Amoonguss, but honestly, I don't think they can really do much here, because we Rage Powder, and they have the Quark Drive. We Rage Powder, and we Heat Wave again. I don't see a play they can make here. They go into Arcanine. Do they have Protect on their Delibird? No, on the Iron Bundle, sorry, no. So they Hydro Pump straight into our Amoonguss, and we do big, big damage. So we know that we can live from Arcanine, but just barely. So we don't want to be too risky, but honestly, we go before the Arcanine because we are Choice Scarf and actually use. So Rage Powder and Heat Wave is a really, really safe play here. If they take out our Amoonguss, I feel like we're okay because we have priority on our Chien-Pao in the back. So we're going to, again, just protect our Amoonguss here, hit off with the Heat Wave, and play this fairly safe. We don't need to make any risky plays. Okay, so we're able to take them out. That's really well. We Rage Powder on, Amoonguss falls, and that's good for us. So now we're in a really good spot. They're down to their last two Pokemon, and we don't know what the one in the back's going to be, so we don't want to reveal Chien-Pao just yet. We want to keep it hidden because they haven't seen this Pokemon. And as I said, this team is something that we just built in a second. Looking at Pikalytics, we haven't really done anything with it. And they have the Amoonguss. I forgot that they had Amoonguss in the beginning. It's my first time playing and recording, so my bad there, guys. So I'm in a pretty good spot here because I'm going to do something they're not really going to expect. I'm going to... maybe they will because I did do something similar earlier, but I'm honestly going to just U-turn right out into the Amoonguss and Heat Wave again. Okay, so that's interesting. I may have switching there may have been a better play. I think Roaring Moon falls. I think that was a bad play from me. Oh, it doesn't actually matter. It doesn't actually matter. So I thought they were going to Flare Blitz into that slot, and I don't know my calc. So I think I made a bad play there. I tried to play just, all fancy. It doesn't matter. They can't protect the Amoonguss that turn. Arcanine falls to this Heat Wave, and this is likely just going to be the game. Chi-Yu was unchecked the whole time. They didn't seem to respect it. I definitely could have played better. It's my first time playing and talking, so bear with me there, guys. But yeah, we built a team really quickly. We used the resources that I've showed you in this video, and we tried the team out, and there we go. They end up forfeiting. So if you're new trying to build a team, then all you really need to do is do something like this. You go to the resources I showed. You go to Pikalytics. You go to the damage calc to get the EVs right and the numbers. You go to the Pokepaste, look at other things people are using, what they've won tournaments with, and you just build it out here in a Showdown, in the team builder, and you're able to just use it, test it out, and have some fun. This is the rental code that I posted in my last video right here. If you want to try out a team like this, it's really, really fun to play, and I really enjoy it. Kingambit is so much fun to use. I hope this video really helped you guys out. I want to try something new and teach you guys how to build a team kind of from the ground up. I didn't want to overwhelm you with too much information, but from here you've got a few resources. You've got a team, a rental code in the last video you can go try out if you'd like to, and we just built this team here in like a minute. I literally just went to Pikalytics, I copied some sets, I threw in some really basic EVs, and we were able to pick up a win immediately. And we didn't even play it that well. I was very distracted by talking. So as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.